I was sitting at Derek's dinner table, fork halfway to my mouth, when my phone buzzed in my pocket. The screen lit up with Howard Stevens' name, my neighbor of 23 years. His voice came through shaky, almost a whisper, like he was afraid someone might hear him. "Frank, you home?" "No, I'm at Derek's place. Having dinner." "Why? What's wrong?" There was a pause. Then his voice dropped even lower. "Then who the hell is walking around inside your house right now?" My heart stopped. The fork clattered onto the china plate. Across the table, Derek's face went white. His wife Angela grabbed the wine bottle like it was a lifeline. And my son, my own flesh and blood, he just laughed. Not a normal laugh. A nervous, high-pitched sound that made my stomach turn. "Dad, come on. It's nothing." Howard's always seeing things, but his hands were shaking. His eyes darted to the door, then back to me, then to the clock on the wall. I stood up, already reaching for my jacket. "Howard said someone's in my house." With a flashlight. Derek jumped up, moved between me and the door. "You're overreacting. Sit down. Let's just finish dinner, and then we'll drive over together." I'm sure it's nothing, but I knew it wasn't nothing. Because 3 days ago, Derek had stood in my kitchen, demanding money. Not asking, demanding. It was a Friday evening, around 7:30. I'd been sitting at my kitchen table, going through old bills and drinking coffee that had gone cold an hour before. The front door slammed so hard the windows rattled. Derek burst in like a storm, his leather jacket catching on the doorframe, his eyes bloodshot and wild. "Dad, I need money." The words came out before he even caught his breath. 850,000. Today. I set down my mug slowly, carefully, buying myself time to think. Through the window, the late afternoon sun cast long shadows across the linoleum floor. I'd lived in this house for 42 years, raised Derek here, taught him to ride a bike in the driveway, fixed his first car in the garage, watched him graduate from high school on the front lawn. 850,000, I repeated, keeping my voice level. "For what?" He paced the kitchen, boots heavy on the floor. Couldn't stand still, couldn't look me in the eye. Things got complicated. Some deals fell through. I need to close it out today. Deals. Or debts. His jaw clenched. "Does it matter?" "Yes, it matters. Because last year you needed 400,000 for a sure thing at the casino. Year before that, 300 for poker debts. Every time you promise it's the last time. Every time you swear you've learned your lesson. This is different. It's always different, Derek. But it's never different enough." He slammed his fist on the counter. The salt shaker jumped. "You don't understand. These aren't the kind of people who wait. They don't care about excuses or payment plans." I stood up, looked him straight in the eye, saw the fear there, beneath the anger, saw the desperation, but I also saw something else. Something that scared me more than the fear. A calculation, a coldness. "No, son. The answer is no." His face went through a dozen expressions in 3 seconds. Shock, disbelief, rage, then something harder, darker. "You'll regret this, old man." His voice was barely a whisper, but it cut like a blade. "Sitting here, hoarding your millions while your own son drowns. Real nice. I sold that farm to secure my retirement, Derek. Not to fund your gambling addiction." "Addiction?" He laughed, bitter and sharp. "You think you're so smart, don't you? Think you know everything. Well, you don't know half of what's coming." He turned and walked out, slamming the door so hard a framed photo fell off the wall. I watched through the window as his old pickup kicked up dust on the gravel drive. The house settled back into silence, but not the comfortable kind. The kind that presses down on your chest. For 2 days, nothing. Radio silence. I kept myself busy, fixed the fence, mowed the lawn, reorganized the garage, Tried not to think about the look in his eyes when he'd said I'd regret it. Tried not to wonder what he'd meant. Then Monday morning, the landline rang, sharp and loud in the quiet house. I picked up, half expecting a telemarketer. "Dad? Hey, it's me." Derek's voice was different. Soft. Almost cheerful. Nothing like the rage from Friday. I wanted to apologize. I was way out of line. "You were right. About everything." I raised an eyebrow at the phone. In 37 years, my son had never called just to apologize. Just like that? "Yeah. I've been thinking." Angela and I talked. "You can't keep running to your dad every time things go wrong. It's not fair to you. So I'm handling it differently this time." I looked at an old photo on the mantel. Derek at 12. Grease on his face. Standing next to the go-kart we'd built together in the garage. "Where did that kid go?" "We want you to come for dinner. Wednesday night. Angela's making her famous pot roast with those garlic mashed potatoes you love." We moved, by the way. New place. Fresh start. "You moved." "When?" "Few weeks ago." "I meant to tell you. 147 Maple Drive. Right across from Roosevelt Elementary. Blue house with white shutters. You can't miss it." I scribbled the address on a napkin. Something felt off, but I couldn't put my finger on it. Maybe I just wasn't used to Derek being normal. "Angela really wants this, Dad. She wants us to be a real family again. You know how she gets about family dinners." That part was true. Angela had always been the glue, the one trying to hold everyone together even when Derek was spiraling. 6:30. "Don't be late. And Dad, thanks for giving me another chance." He hung up before I could respond. I sat there staring at the napkin. 8047 Maple Drive. Why did his voice sound rehearsed? Like he'd practiced the whole conversation? But maybe I was being paranoid. Maybe Angela really had talked some sense into him. Maybe this was his genuine attempt to make things right. I spent the rest of the day with that napkin in my pocket, pulling it out every few hours to look at it. Tuesday crawled by. I tried to shake the uneasy feeling, told myself I was being an old fool. Derek was my son, my only child. If he was reaching out, I had to meet him halfway. That's what fathers do. Tuesday afternoon, I was getting the mail when I noticed the truck. Big white commercial van, Nevada plates, parked across the street in front of the Henderson place. Engine running, driver slouched behind the wheel. When I walked closer, he sat up straight, suddenly very interested in his phone. I knocked on the window. He jumped, then rolled it down halfway. "Morning. Everything okay? You've been sitting here a while." Yeah, all good." His voice was thin, reedy. Eyes wouldn't meet mine. "Engine trouble. Just letting it cool down. I worked as a mechanic for 30 years. Want me to take a look?" "No. No thanks. Friends coming to help." But there were tools in the back, and the engine was running fine. And his knuckles were white on the steering wheel. "Well, I'm just across the street. Frank Mitchell. If you need anything." He nodded too quickly. Rolled up the window. I memorized the plate number, without really meaning to. NV4729. Something in my gut said to remember it. By Tuesday evening, the truck was gone. Wednesday arrived warm and sunny, the kind of day that makes you believe in second chances. I pulled out my good suit, the navy one with slightly worn elbows but still respectable. Shined my shoes, picked out a modest tie. From the cellar, I grabbed a bottle of Cabernet I'd been saving for something special. Standing in front of the mirror, I barely recognized myself, not because I looked different, but because of what I saw in my eyes. Hope, actual hope, that maybe, just maybe, my son was turning a corner. I ran into Howard on my way to the car. He was watering his roses along the fence. "Well, look at you all dressed up, Frank. Special occasion?" "Derek invited me for dinner." First time in years he's actually asked me over just to spend time together. Howard smiled, warm and genuine. That's good to hear. Family's everything, especially at our age. Glad you two are patching things up. We'll see, Howard. We'll see. Every journey starts with a single step, my friend. The drive to Maple Drive felt surreal. I knew these streets like the back of my hand. Every turn, every stoplight. The town had barely changed in 40 years. Same hardware store, same diner, same church on the corner with the crooked steeple, but somehow everything looked different through the lens of possibility. 84-7 Maple Drive was exactly as Derek described. Blue siding, white shutters, neat lawn, lights glowing warm in the windows. A silver Honda sat in the driveway, probably Angela's. I parked behind it, checked my collar in the mirror, grabbed the wine. Through the front window, I could see movement inside. Someone pacing. The porch light flicked on as I approached. They were waiting for me. I rang the doorbell. The door opened before the chime finished. Derek stood there, with the biggest smile I'd seen on his face in a decade. Too big, too bright, like a mask. Dad. Right on time. As always. He grabbed my hand with both of his, pulled me inside almost forcefully. His palms were sweaty. Come in. Come in. Angela appeared from the kitchen, took the wine from my hands. Her fingers trembled slightly. Frank, you shouldn't have. This is lovely. Really lovely. The house smelled amazing. Pot roast, garlic, fresh bread. Everything was immaculate. Not a single thing out of place. The dining table was set like something from a magazine. Roses in a crystal vase, candles lit, every napkin perfectly folded. Let me take your coat, Dad. Derek was already behind me, helping me out of it. Loved the tie. Really sharp. I felt like I was in a play. Everyone knew their lines. Everyone hit their marks, but nobody was really present. They were performing. Angela did so much work on this place, Derek said, gesturing around. Repainted, refinished the floors, new furniture. She's got an eye for this stuff. It's beautiful, I said, meaning it. But something was wrong. The furniture was too new. The dishes too expensive. Where did they get the money for all this? Derek opened the wine with practiced ease, poured 3 glasses, raised his in a toast. To family, to second chances, to letting the past stay in the past. We clinked glasses. The wine was good, rich and smooth, but I couldn't take my eyes off Derek. He kept glancing at his watch. Every few minutes his eyes would dart to the clock on the wall, then back to his plate, then to me. So how's work going? I asked, cutting into the pot roast. It was perfect, just like Angela always made it. Great, actually. Really great. Got some new contracts lined up. Everything's stable. Finally got my act together, you know? Angela nodded a bit too enthusiastically. He's been working so hard, really turned things around. He's a different person, but her hands wouldn't stop moving. Adjusting silverware, refilling water glasses, smoothing the tablecloth. And her smile never reached her eyes. The conversation flowed, but it felt hollow, like we were all reading from a script. Derek kept bringing up old memories, trying to recreate nostalgia. Remember when we built that go-kart? Remember fishing at Miller's Creek? Remember the time I fell off the roof trying to fix the shingles? I remembered. But the Derek who did those things felt like a different person from the man sitting across from me now, checking his watch every 3 minutes. Then my phone rang. The sound cut through the artificial warmth like a knife. I pulled it from my pocket. Howard Stevens. Derek's fork stopped mid-air. His whole body tensed. Sorry. Let me just see who this is. Dad. You don't have to answer. We're having a nice dinner. But his voice had an edge now. A sharpness beneath the casual tone. I stood up, moved toward the living room. Howard? Frank. Sorry to bother you, but are you home? His voice was tight with concern. No, I'm at Derek's, on Maple Drive. Why? Because there's someone in your house. Right now, moving room to room with a flashlight. I can see them from my window. Been watching for about 15 minutes. They're upstairs now. The world tilted. What do you mean someone's in my house? Behind me. Derek dropped his fork. It hit the china with a sharp ring. Angela went pale, gripped the table edge. Someone's inside. Not the lights, just flashlight beams. Systematic, like they're searching. You want me to call the cops? Yes. Call them now. I'm leaving right now. I hung up, turned around. Derek was already standing, blocking the path to the front door. Dad, wait. Just wait a second. Howard's paranoid. You know how he is. Probably just seeing shadows, or a reflection or something. He said someone's moving through my house with a flashlight. Room by room. Come on. Derek forced a laugh. Who breaks into a house at 7 in the evening? Think about it. Doesn't make sense. How do you know what makes sense for a robbery, Derek? He froze. Just for a split second. But I saw it. The calculation. The panic. I just mean, common sense. Everyone knows burglars wait until late at night when nobody's around. Move. Dad. Listen to me. He put his hands on my shoulders. Tried to look reassuring, but his grip was too tight. Let's finish dinner. Then we'll drive over together. I'll come with you. We'll check it out together. As a family. A family. I looked him dead in the eye. You mean the family you invited over for dinner while someone robbed them? What? No. That's crazy. You're not thinking straight. But Angela was standing in the hallway, one hand over her mouth, tears starting to stream down her face. Not tears of confusion. Tears of guilt. Derek, let me leave. Now. I can't. His voice cracked. You don't understand. I can't. Can't? Or won't? The people I owe money to. They're not the kind who wait for explanations. They don't care if I pass a test or get a good review. It's money or, he trailed off. Or what? Or they told you to set up your own father. He didn't answer. Didn't have to. The truth was written all over his face. I need to use the bathroom, I said, keeping my voice steady. Derek watched me suspiciously. No funny business, Dad. I'm serious. I walked down the hall to the bathroom, closed the door, locked it. My hands were shaking. The window above the toilet was small, but I'd been through it before. 6 months ago, Derek had asked me to help install new window screens. I knew it opened. I knew it led to the side yard. I knew the drop was about 6 feet into Angela's flower bed. I heard voices in the hallway. Derek and Angela, whispering urgently. Now or never. The window resisted at first, swollen from humidity. Then it gave, the screen popped off easily. I hoisted myself up, years of farm work giving me just enough strength. Squeezed through, hung from the sill for a moment, then dropped. I landed hard. Pain shot through my knees, up my spine. At 68, you feel every impact. But nothing broke. I scrambled to my feet, hobbled around the side of the house. Behind me, Derek's voice. Dad, Dad. Angry now. Desperate. My car was still in the driveway, keys in my pocket. I got in, started the engine. Didn't turn on the headlights until I was 2 blocks away. My hands were shaking on the wheel. My own son, my own flesh and blood had locked me in his house while someone robbed mine. The drive home felt endless and too short at the same time. Every traffic light seemed to take forever. My mind raced. What were they taking? The safe in the basement held everything. $800,000. My entire life savings, everything from selling the farm that had been in our family for 3 generations. And Derek knew exactly where it was. Because I'd shown him, Years ago when I thought I could trust my own son. As I turned onto Riverside Drive, I saw the lights, red and blue, flashing against the darkening sky. 3 police cruisers. Howard's porch light on. Neighbors clustered in small groups on the sidewalk. Phones out. Film. Sheriff Thomas Brennan met me at my driveway. Big guy, mid-50s, face weathered by years of dealing with the worst of human nature, but kind-eyed. Mr. Mitchell, glad you made it back. Your neighbor Mr. Stevens called it in. We got here fast. Caught the guy in your basement trying to crack open your safe. The safe, I repeated, feeling sick. Yeah. He got in through the kitchen window, moved through the house like he knew the layout, had a list of what to look for. We caught him red-handed, and he talked. Said some things you're not gonna like. We walked to the patrol car. Inside sat a thin man, maybe 40, with thinning hair and a face that had seen too many hard nights. The same man from the truck, the one who'd claimed he had engine trouble. Travis Caldwell, Sheriff Brennan said. Got a record, breaking and entering, theft. Thought he'd hit the big time with this job. He say who hired him. The sheriff nodded slowly. Your son, Mr. Mitchell, Derek Mitchell, offered him $15,000 to break in, crack the safe, take the money. Said you'd be tied up at dinner. Said the job would be easy. I closed my eyes, felt the world spin beneath my feet. He promised me there'd be almost $1 million in there, Travis said from the car, not meeting my eyes. Said it was his inheritance anyway. Said his old man was too paranoid to keep it in a bank. Did you get it open? My voice sounded far away like someone else was talking. No sir, that's a solid piece of work you got there. Old Soviet-era safe, 3-bolt mechanism. My tools weren't even making a dent. Sheriff's boys got me before I could do much damage. There's evidence, Sheriff Brennan said gently. Text messages between Caldwell and your son. Venmo transactions for the deposit. We got enough for an arrest. But I need to ask you something, Mr. Mitchell. You want to press charges? Against your own son? I looked at my house. The place where I'd lived for 42 years. Where I'd raised Derek. Where I'd believed I was safe. The kitchen window was still open. The screen leaning against the siding. The basement door stood ajar. Inside, my safe scarred with fresh tool marks, but intact. I thought about Derek at 12, covered in motor oil, grinning like he'd conquered the world. Thought about teaching him to drive, helping him with homework, holding him when his mother died. Thought about every birthday, every Christmas, every moment I'd poured my love into raising him. Then I thought about him locking the door at dinner. Planning this for days. Setting me up. Using me. Yes, I said. I want to press charges. Full charges. Every count you can file. Sheriff Brennan nodded. No judgment. No surprise. Come by the station tomorrow morning. 9 o'clock. We'll get your statement, file the paperwork. We're heading to Maple Drive now to bring him in. I watched the cruisers pull away. Lights flashing. Sirens off. Howard came over. Put a hand on my shoulder. You did the right thing. Did I? I just sent my own son to jail. You protected yourself. There's no shame in that. What he did was unforgivable, Frank. We stood in my driveway as the sun finished setting. The neighborhood slowly returned to normal. Lights coming on in windows. Sounds of dinner, television. Ordinary life. But nothing would be ordinary again. The drive to Maple Drive was different this time. No hope. No wine. No pressed suit. Just 3 police cruisers and me following behind in my car. Headlights cutting through the gathering dark. We pulled up in formation. The house was still lit up, warm and inviting from the outside. Through the windows, I could see Derek pacing. Angela sitting on the couch with her head in her hands. Sheriff Brennan knocked. The door opened immediately. Angela stood there, eyes red, face pale. He's inside, she said quietly. He's been waiting. Derek came to the door. His confident mask was gone. Now he just looked scared. Young. Like a kid caught stealing from the cookie jar. Except the stakes were so much higher. Derek Mitchell, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit burglary, theft, and false imprisonment. Sheriff Brennan's voice was professional, detached. He'd done this 1,000 times. This is a mistake. Derek's voice cracked. This is all a misunderstanding. Someone's lying. Someone's trying to frame me. We have text messages, bank records, a signed confession from Travis Caldwell, stating you hired him. This isn't a misunderstanding. They put the handcuffs on. Sound of the metal clicking shut seemed impossibly loud. Angela, tell them. Tell them I was here all night. Tell them we were just having a family dinner. She looked at him for a long moment. Then, quietly, you locked the door, Derek. When Frank tried to leave, I saw you. I heard you. I'm not going to lie for you. Something broke in Derek's face. The last shred of hope that he could talk his way out of this. You don't understand what you're doing. Those people I owe money to. They won't just let this go. They'll come after me. After you. This is bigger than you think. Then you should have thought about that before you tried to rob your father, Angela said. Her voice was steady now. Resolved. They led him to the patrol car. I stood across the street, watching. Derek looked back once, searching for me. When our eyes met, I didn't look away, but I didn't go to him either. The car door closed. The street fell quiet. Angela stood in the doorway, arms wrapped around herself. I'm sorry, Frank, she called out. I didn't know until tonight. I swear I didn't know. I nodded. Believed her. She was a good person caught in the orbit of someone spiraling out of control. Sheriff Brennan walked over. Tomorrow, 9 o'clock. We'll have him in holding until the arraignment. I'll be there. I drove home slowly. The streets that had seemed so familiar that afternoon now felt foreign. Or maybe I was the one who was foreign. Changed. The man who'd driven to dinner hoping for reconciliation was gone. In his place was someone harder, sadder, but clear-eyed. Howard was still up when I got home, sitting on his porch with a beer. I joined him. We didn't talk much. Sometimes there's nothing to say. Friday morning I got a call from the district attorney's office. The arraignment had happened fast. Derek pleaded not guilty, but the evidence was overwhelming. They offered him a deal, 5 years probation, restitution, 500 hours of community service, mandatory gambling addiction treatment. If he refused, they'd push for actual prison time. He took the deal. Friday evening, Howard and I sat on my porch with cold beers and watched the neighborhood wind down for the weekend. Kids playing in yards, couples walking dogs. Normal life continuing on while mine had been turned inside out. They called from the courthouse, I said. Sentencing is done. 5 years probation. Has to pay restitution. Court-ordered therapy. Good, Howard said simply. He got off light if you ask me. Yeah. Judge said the fact that he targeted his own father was an aggravating factor. But first offense, no violence, caught before anything was actually stolen. So they went easy. And the other guy, Travis? 2 years minimum security. He's got priors, so they weren't as generous. We drank in silence. A dog barked somewhere down the street. Someone's sprinkler system kicked on with a rhythmic click, click, click. You know what's strange? I said. I'm not even angry anymore. Just tired and sad. So deeply sad. Because you did what you had to do. Preserved your dignity. Protected yourself. He's a grown man, Frank. His choices, his consequences. I wanted to believe. When he called about dinner, I wanted so badly to believe he'd changed. Of course you did. You're his father. That's hardwired into us. We want to believe the best about our kids, even when they show us the worst. Angela called yesterday. Filing for divorce. Said she can't be married to someone who'd sell out his own family for gambling debts. Smart woman, she deserves better. I nodded. Thought about the last time I'd seen Derek's face. Pale and scared in the back of that patrol car. Part of me wanted to feel something. Regret. Maybe. Doubt. But all I felt was a strange, heavy peace. Like closing a chapter in a book that had gone on too long. You saved everything, you know, I said to Howard. If you hadn't been watching, if you hadn't called, he waved it off. That's what neighbors do. We look out for each other. Besides, something was off about that truck. Old military habits. Notice things that don't fit. Well, I owe you more than I can say. You owe me nothing. Just keep being a good neighbor. That's payment enough. Saturday, I spent the entire day securing the house. New locks on every door. Reinforced the basement entrance. Had a security company come out and install motion sensors, cameras, an alarm system that connected directly to the sheriff's department. It felt excessive, but after what happened, I'd never take security for granted again. Derek hadn't just tried to steal my money. He'd tried to steal my peace of mind, my sense of safety in my own home. That violation went deeper than any bank account. Sunday morning, I woke up without an alarm for the first time in weeks. No tightness in my chest. No dread, just quiet. I made coffee, strong and black, and sat on the back porch watching the sun come up over the trees. The world looked the same. But I was different, stripped of illusions. No longer the father who believed unconditionally. Now I was something else. Someone who'd chosen self-preservation over blood. And you know what? That was okay. It had to be okay. 'Cause the alternative was letting myself be destroyed by someone who claimed to love me, but was willing to ruin me. Monday morning, Angela sent a text. Short and to the point. Filed the papers. Staying with my sister. I'm sorry for everything. I texted back. Not your fault. Take care of yourself. For the next few weeks, life settled into a new rhythm. I reinforced the fence, planted new roses along the walkway, fixed up the garage, kept busy, kept moving, because standing still meant thinking, and thinking meant dwelling on the son I'd lost. Not to death, but to his own choices. Howard came over most evenings. We'd sit on the porch, drink beer or iced tea, talk about nothing important. Sports, weather, the Hendersons' new puppy. Small talk that was actually a lifeline. Proof that normal still existed. Derek starts his community service next week, I mentioned one evening. Picking up trash along Highway 49. 500 hours. Good, honest work. Maybe it'll teach him something. The gambling counselor says addiction is a disease, that I shouldn't take it personally. Bull. Howard's voice was firm. Addiction might be a disease, but choosing to rob your own father, that's a choice. A cold, calculated choice. Don't let anyone tell you different. I appreciated his clarity. In a world that had gone soft and gray, Howard's black and white morality was anchoring. You ever regret it? He asked. Turning him in? I thought about it. Really thought about it. No. I regret that it came to that. I regret that my son became someone capable of that. But turning him in, that was the only choice I could live with. If I'd let it go covered for him, what would that make me? An enabler? Part of the problem. Exactly. You drew a line. That took guts. One evening in late October, I was closing up the garage when a car pulled into the driveway. Angela, she looked thinner, older, worn down by the weight of everything that had happened. Frank, I hope it's okay that I stopped by. Of course. Come in. I'll make coffee. We sat at the kitchen table, the same table where Derek had demanded money all those weeks ago. It felt like years. I wanted to tell you in person. The divorce is final, and I'm moving. Back to Arizona. My sister has a place there. Fresh start. I'm glad you're doing what's right for you. I also wanted to say I'm sorry. I should have seen it. Should have known something was wrong. All the late nights, the phone calls he wouldn't explain, the way he'd get so defensive about money. Angela, you're not responsible for his choices. I know, but I feel like I failed somehow. Like I should have stopped it before it got this far. We all miss the signs. Even me. Maybe especially me. I'm his father. I should have intervened years ago. First time he came to me with gambling debts, I should have made him get help. Instead, I paid them off. Enabled him. Taught him that Dad would always bail him out. She reached across the table. Squeezed my hand. You were being a father. That's not a crime. Maybe. But look where it led. We talked for another hour. About Derek. As a kid. About the good times before the gambling took over. About the husband she'd married. Versus the stranger he'd become. It was cathartic. Painful but necessary. When she left, I felt lighter somehow. Like we'd both acknowledged the elephant in the room. And decided to let it go. November rolled in cold and gray. Thanksgiving approached. That most family of holidays. I didn't have plans. Didn't want any. Howard invited me to his daughter's place in Portland. But I declined. I needed the quiet. Thanksgiving morning. I made a simple meal. Turkey breast. Mashed potatoes, green beans. Set the table for one. It should have felt sad. But it didn't. It felt honest. As I sat down to eat, my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Then I realized who it was. Derek. Someone must have given him a phone. Dad, I'm sorry. For everything. I know you probably don't want to hear from me, but I need you to know I'm getting help. Real help. The counseling is working. I'm seeing things clearly now. Maybe someday you can forgive me. I stared at the message for a long time. Part of me wanted to respond, to say something paternal and forgiving, to be the bigger person. But another part of me, the part that had been betrayed and locked in and robbed, that part wasn't ready. Maybe wouldn't ever be ready. I set the phone down without responding, ate my dinner, cleaned up, and felt okay with the silence. December came. Christmas lights went up around the neighborhood. Howard's daughter visited for a week. The Hendersons threw a holiday party. Life continued, relentless and ordinary. I spent Christmas Eve alone, reading by the fire. It was peaceful. No drama, no tension, no walking on eggshells, just quiet contentment. At some point, being alone had stopped feeling like a punishment and started feeling like a choice. Christmas morning, I called Howard. Want to come over for breakfast? I'm making pancakes. He showed up 20 minutes later with a bottle of real maple syrup and a bag of fresh blueberries. We ate and talked and laughed. And I realized this was family too. Not blood, but chosen. The people who show up, who watch your back, who call when someone's in your house and don't ask questions when you need them not to. You doing okay? Howard asked, as he helped wash dishes. Yeah, I really am. It's strange. I thought losing Derek would destroy me, but instead it freed me. I'm not constantly waiting for the next crisis, the next demand for money, the next lie. I can just live. That's not nothing, Frank. That's everything. We stood at the sink, two old men who'd survived their own wars and come out the other side. Not unscathed, but standing. New Year's Eve, I stayed home, watched the ball drop on TV. At midnight, I raised a glass of whiskey to the empty room. To second chances, I said out loud, and to knowing when to stop giving them. January brought bitter cold and clear skies. I started a new project, building birdhouses in the garage, kept my hands busy, kept my mind occupied, sold them at the farmer's market on Saturdays. Made a little money, but more importantly, made connections, met people. became part of the community again, instead of the hermit on Riverside Drive. One Saturday in late January, I was setting up my booth at the market when I saw him. Derek, across the square, picking up trash in an orange vest, part of his community service. Our eyes met. He stopped. Looked like he might come over, but I turned back to my birdhouses, arranged them carefully. When I looked up again, he was gone. February. March. The seasons turned. Howard and I fell into a routine. Cards on Wednesday nights. Fishing on Saturdays when the weather was good. Simple pleasures that didn't require explanation or apology. One evening in late March, we were sitting on my porch, watching the sunset paint the sky orange and pink. The air smelled like fresh-cut grass and honeysuckle. Spring was really here. You ever think about him? Howard asked. He didn't have to say who. Every day, I admitted. But not the way I used to. I used to think about who he was, who he could have been. Now I just think about who he is. And I've made peace with the fact that I can't change that. That's wisdom, my friend. Or just exhaustion. I smiled. Hard to tell the difference sometimes. Howard chuckled.
You know what I think? I think you did something most fathers can't do.
You loved him enough to let him face consequences.
That's rare. Most dads would have bailed him out, covered for him, made excuses. You loved him enough to say no.
I let that sink in. Maybe he was right. Maybe refusing to enable wasn't the same as refusing to love. Maybe it was the highest form of love. The hardest kind. The kind that says I care about you too much to watch you destroy yourself. Even if you hate me for it. His probation officer called last week, I said. Wanted to give me an update. Said Derek's been compliant. Shows up on time, does his service hours, attends every counseling session. Says he seems genuinely committed to change. That's good. Yeah. But it doesn't change what happened. Doesn't erase the fact that he was willing to rob me blind while I ate pot roast at his table. No, it doesn't. And you don't have to forgive that, just because he's trying now. Forgiveness has to be earned, not given freely just because someone says they're sorry. We sat in comfortable silence. A car drove by. Someone's dog barked. The world kept turning. My world's smaller now, but somehow richer, more honest. April brought rain and new growth. The roses I'd planted bloomed deep red. The birdhouses sold well. I was making enough to cover groceries and then some. Not that I needed the money, but the routine was good for me. The purpose. One rainy Thursday, I was in the garage working on a new design. When my phone rang, the probation officer, Mr. Mitchell, I wanted to let you know Derek has completed his community service hours. All 500. He's also been meeting regularly with his gambling counselor and attending GA meetings 3 times a week. His therapist says he's making real progress. That's good to hear. He asked if I'd reach out to you. See if you'd be willing to meet with him. For coffee or something. No pressure, obviously. Just wanted to pass along the message. I stood there in my garage surrounded by wood shavings and half-finished birdhouses, holding a phone that felt impossibly heavy. Tell him I'll think about it. Of course. Take your time. I told Howard about it that evening. What are you gonna do? He asked. I don't know. Part of me wants to see him. See if the change is real. But another part of me thinks, what's the point? Some things you can't come back from. Only you can answer that, Frank. But I'll tell you this. Whatever you decide, make sure it's for you. Not for him. Not out of guilt or obligation. For you. I thought about it for 3 weeks. Went back and forth a dozen times. Finally, on a warm Tuesday in early May, I sent Derek a text. Saturday, 10 a.m. Riverside Diner. 1 hour. The response came back immediately. I'll be there. Thank you. Saturday morning arrived too fast and too slow. I got to the diner 15 minutes early, claimed a booth in the back. Ordered coffee. Black. Waited. Derek walked in at exactly 10 o'clock. He looked different, thinner, but in a healthy way, clear-eyed. The desperate, manic energy that had always surrounded him was gone. In its place was something quieter, uncertainty maybe, or humility. He slid into the booth across from me. "Thanks for coming. I wasn't sure you would." "I almost didn't." The waitress came over. Derek ordered coffee, nothing else. His hands were steady. No trembling, no fidgeting. "I don't expect you to forgive me," he started. "I don't even know if I'd forgive me. What I did was unforgivable. I put you in danger. I violated every trust you ever had in me. I looked you in the eye and lied while someone was robbing you." "Why'd you do it, Derek? Really? I need to understand." He stared at his coffee mug. "I was in deep, deeper than I'd ever been. I owed money to people who don't just threaten. They follow through. I was scared, desperate. And somewhere in my twisted thinking, I convinced myself that you owed me, that the farm money was partly mine anyway, that I was just taking what should have been my inheritance." "That's insane." "I know, but when you're that far gone, when the addiction has you by the throat, you'll sacrifice anything. I'm not making excuses. I'm just trying to explain. The counseling helping? Yeah, more than I thought it would. I've been going to GA meetings, got a sponsor, been sober from gambling for 4 months now. It's like waking up from a nightmare, looking back at the things I did and barely recognizing myself." I sipped my coffee. It was bitter, needed more cream. "Angela told me she's in Arizona now." "I know. I don't blame her. She deserves better than what I put her through. We talked once. After the divorce was final, she said she hoped I'd get the help I needed. That was generous of her. Consider she's a good person." "Yeah, too good for me, that's for sure." We sat in silence for a moment. The diner hummed around us. Clinking dishes, murmured conversations. The hiss of the griddle. "What do you want from me, Derek?" He looked up, met my eyes. "Nothing. I don't want anything. I just wanted you to see that I'm trying. That I'm taking this seriously. That I know what I did was unforgivable. But I'm going to spend the rest of my life trying to be better than the person who did it. You hurt me. Not just the robbery, the betrayal, locking me in, looking me in the eye, and lying. You hurt me in ways I didn't think my own son could." His eyes filled with tears. "I know, and I'll carry that for the rest of my life. I'll never stop being sorry." "Sorry doesn't fix it." "No, it doesn't. But it's all I have." I finished my coffee, signaled the waitress for the check. "I can't forgive you. Not yet. Maybe not ever. But I can acknowledge that you're trying. That's something. It's more than I deserve." I stood up, put money on the table. "Keep going to your meetings. Keep seeing your counselor. Do the work. Not for me, for you. Because you deserve a life that isn't controlled by addiction." "I will. I promise." "Don't promise me anything, Derek. Just do it." I walked out of the diner into the bright May morning. Behind me, my son sat alone in that booth. I didn't look back. Didn't need to. I'd said what I needed to say. The rest was up to him. Howard was waiting on my porch when I got home. "How'd it go?" "About as well as it could. He seems genuine. But time will tell." "You gonna see him again?" "Maybe. Eventually, but not soon. I need more time." "Fair enough." We sat on the porch. The afternoon stretched out lazy and warm. Somewhere down the street, kids played basketball. A ice cream truck's jingle drifted on the breeze. Normal sounds, beautiful sounds. "You know what I realized?" I said. "I spent so much of my life being Derek's father, defining myself by that role, that I forgot to be Frank. Just Frank. A man with his own life, his own interests, his own values separate from being someone's dad. And now Now I'm remembering. Building birdhouses, going to the market, sitting on this porch with a good friend. That's enough. That's more than enough. Howard raised his beer can. To being enough. I clinked my can against his. To being enough. Summer came in hot and heavy. I expanded my birdhouse operation. Started making small furniture pieces. A chair here, a table there. Sold them at craft fairs. Made friends with other vendors. Started dating a woman named Ruth who sold homemade jam and had a laugh that could light up a room. Life, it turned out, didn't end when your son betrayed you. It just changed shape, became something different. And if you were lucky, if you were willing to do the work, it became something better. August marked 1 year since that awful dinner. I didn't think about it consciously, but my body remembered. I woke up that morning with a heavy feeling in my chest. Howard came over without being asked. Brought donuts and coffee from that place downtown that always gets the ratio right. 1 year, he said simply. 1 year. You made it. We made it. I couldn't have done this without you, Howard. You know that, right? He waved it off. But I could see he was pleased. That's what friends do. No, that's what family does. You're more family to me than my own blood ever was. We ate donuts on the porch and watched the world wake up. And I thought about how strange life is. How the people who are supposed to be there for you sometimes aren't. And how sometimes the people who show up aren't the ones you expected, but they're the ones that matter. September. October. The leaves turned. I turned 69. Ruth made me a birthday cake. Lemon with cream cheese frosting. Howard and some folks from the market came over. We ate and laughed and told stories. Not once did anyone mention Derek. Not because it was forbidden, but because it wasn't relevant. This was my life now. These were my people. Late October, I got another call from the probation officer. Derek had completed his probation early. Good behavior. Consistent attendance. Genuine progress. He was officially a free man. Well, free with conditions. Still had to attend GA meetings. Still had to see his counselor. But the legal stuff was done. He wanted me to tell you, the officer said. He's enrolled at community college. Business management. Wants to do something legitimate with his life. Got a job at a hardware store. Working his way up to assistant manager. That's good, I said. And meant it. I'm glad he's getting his life together. He also wanted you to know he's not going to contact you. He understands you need space. But he wanted you to know he's thinking about you. That he hopes you're well. Thank you for letting me know. I told Ruth about it that evening. We were sitting on her porch this time, drinking sweet tea and watching the sunset. How do you feel about it? She asked. Relieved, I think. That he's doing better. That he's not spiraling. But also, I don't know, detached. Like it's happening to someone else's son. Does that make sense? Perfect sense. You did your grieving. Now he's more like a stranger, who you used to know very well. Yeah. Exactly that. Do you think you'll ever reconcile? I thought about it. Really thought about it. Maybe. Someday. Years from now. But it'll never be what it was. That father-son bond. That trust. That's gone. If we rebuild something, it'll be different. More like distant relatives than father and son. And you're okay with that? I have to be. Because the alternative is carrying around anger and hurt for the rest of my life. And I'm too old for that. I choose peace. Even if peace means distance. She squeezed my hand. We sat in comfortable silence as the sky turned from orange to purple to black. November brought the first frost. December brought holiday cheer. I spent Christmas with Ruth and her family in Portland. New Year's with Howard and his daughter. These were my traditions now. My people. My chosen family. January marked 18 months since the robbery. I barely thought about it anymore. The security system was just part of the house now. Not a reminder of violation. The safe in the basement held my money. untouched and secure. The scars had faded to background noise. One cold morning in February, I was opening up my booth at the market when I saw him. Derek. Not in an orange vest this time. Just regular clothes, hands in his pockets. Standing at a distance. Watching. Our eyes met. He didn't approach, just raised a hand. A small wave. Not asking for anything. Just acknowledging my existence. I nodded back. A tiny gesture. Meaningless to anyone watching. But between us, it meant something. It meant, I see you. I acknowledge you're trying. I'm not ready for more than this. But this I can give you. He nodded too. Then turned and walked away. Ruth had seen the exchange. That was him. Yeah. You okay? Yeah, I am. And I was. Because seeing him didn't hurt anymore. It was just a fact. Like seeing an old coworker you used to know. Recognition without emotion. Acknowledgement without attachment. Spring came again. The second spring of my new life. I planted a garden this time. Tomatoes, peppers, herbs. Something about putting seeds in dirt and watching them grow felt meaningful. Like proof that you could take something small and broken and turn it into something living. Ruth and I talked about moving in together. Not marriage. We were too old for that complication. But companionship. Two people who'd been through their own fires and come out the other side, choosing to walk the rest of the path together. Howard approved. She's good for you, Frank? Makes you smile more. That's worth more than gold. Yeah, she is. I never thought I'd find this again. After everything with Derek. After losing that trust, I didn't think I could let anyone close. But she's not Derek. And you're not the same man you were 2 years ago. You're stronger now. Wiser. You know your worth. He was right. The man who'd driven to that dinner hoping for reconciliation was gone. In his place was someone clearer. Someone who knew that love without boundaries was just enabling. That forgiveness didn't mean forgetting. That sometimes the most loving thing you could do was walk away. May brought warm weather on my 70th birthday. Ruth threw me a party at her place. 20 people showed up. Friends from the market, neighbors, Howard and his family. We ate barbecue and drank beer and celebrated 7 decades of life. As the sun set and the party wound down, I stood on Ruth's back deck looking at the stars. Howard joined me. You ever think about where you'd be if that night hadn't happened? He asked. Sometimes. But not in a wishing way. More like curiosity. Would I still be giving Derek money? Still enabling? Still living in that cycle of crisis and relief? Probably. Yeah. So in a weird way, as much as it hurt, as much as it cost me, it freed me. It forced me to choose myself. To draw a line. To say this far, no further. That's perspective, my friend. Not everyone gets there. No. But I'm grateful I did. We stood in the quiet dark. 2 old men who'd seen enough of life to know that happiness isn't loud or showy. It's quiet moments on a deck. Good friends. Simple pleasures. Peace that comes from knowing you made the hard choice and survived. Inside, Ruth was laughing at someone's story. The sound drifted out through the screen door, warm and alive. My life. Not the one I'd planned. Not the one I'd hoped for all those years ago when Derek was small and the future seemed unlimited. But mine nonetheless. Honest and hard-won and real. You know what the best part is? I said to Howard. What's that? I don't lie awake at night anymore wondering when the next call will come. When the next crisis will hit. When Derek will need bailing out. I sleep through the night now. Every night. That's everything. Howard clapped me on the shoulder. That's more than everything. That's freedom. We went back inside. The party continued. And I realized something profound. Home isn't a place. It's not even people, necessarily. Home is peace. It's the ability to close your eyes without fear. It's knowing that the life you've built is solid, built on truth instead of wishful thinking. I'd lost a son, but I'd found myself. And in the end, that trade, as painful as it was, had been worth it. Every story carries within it an echo of our shared humanity. If this story has touched your heart, share it with someone special. Leave us a comment about what you felt, and subscribe to join us for more soul-reaching stories. Because every life tells a story that deserves to be heard. See you next time.